unpacking today's headlines. This is Souls and Liberty in Depth.
Hello everyone, and welcome to In Depth, a production of Souls and Liberty brought to you in partnership with MyPillow. Kamala Harris hates Christ and despises Christians. Harris showed her true communist colors at a rally in Wisconsin Thursday, mocking Christian pro-lifers for proclaiming Christ's kingship.
Christ is king! Jesus is Lord!
Oh, you guys are at the wrong rally. No, I think you meant to go to the smaller one down the street.
This is what you are going to get with a Kamala Harris presidency. You are going to get the Kamala Harris that alienates over 50% of the U.S. population that is Christian.
More on Kamala's Marxist mockery in a moment, but first,
the last 70 years is evidence of just systemic attacks on Christianity in the public sphere, trying to get it completely removed, trying to get Christians to feel isolated and alone.
All right, 14 days to go, and Kamala's anti-Christian hatred is coming into full view. At a rally in Wisconsin Thursday, the same day, mind you, that she spurned Catholic voters by going AWOL from the Al Smith dinner in New York, Kamala scorned the cross while in La Crosse, ridiculing a pair of young Christian men who dared to confront her over her backing for child murder. Proclaiming abortion is a sacrament of Satan, Christ is King, and Jesus is Lord, Pro-Life University of Wisconsin students Luke Pulaski and Grant Beth were mocked by Harris, shoved by her supporters, and expelled from the rally. Here to talk about it today is Souls and Liberty contributor Arthur Clareau. I'm your host, Stephen Wynn, coming to you from Kansas City. All right, Arthur, it's clear that Harris loathes Christians, but this open anti-Christian display that we saw on Thursday, we haven't really seen that from a presidential contender before. It was brazen. It was, frankly, just plain stupid, as it would seem to risk political suicide. So question to you is her devotion to abortion, to all things communist, is it so strong as for her to risk killing her own campaign?
That's a great question. It's not unusual for
Democrats to act this way, right? I mean, from Sarah Silverman saying, if I could kill Christ again, I would, to many others doing this type of thing. This isn't uncommon for a Democrat position. But in this case, I think it also shows what kind of candidate this is. Because many of the other candidates may have thought the same thing, may have felt the same way, but they wouldn't have said it out loud in that way. And this one did. And it goes along, like you said, with the spurning of the Al Smith dinner, a 40-some year tradition that every presidential candidate on either side of the aisle has taken part in. It's just, this is someone who's had every moment of her career in politics scripted for her. This is someone who's, I'm not sure if she's had to do a whole lot of ad-libbing. Oh, and then the one moment she gets to do it, she does this. I don't think she thought it through. I'm pretty sure her staff they must have been unhappy with her afterwards, even if they agreed with her. And at this point in time, with the states that are still in flux, being the states that they are, Pennsylvania, Michigan, places like that, where there are significant numbers of Catholics and Christians, really bad idea. Really bad idea.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just amazed at how tone deaf she was in doing this. But again, I think you're right. She is, whenever she's unscripted, she puts her foot in her mouth. At the same time, I think we can consider this a blessing because it's very revealing. It just shows how anti-Christian she is to her very core. All right, when we come back, we'll explore the root of Kamala's anti-Christian rancor. Stay tuned.
The establishment has tried to assassinate President Trump twice, but we can't really be shocked that those who slaughter 1 million unborn babies each year would try to kill one more human being who stands in the way of their diabolical agenda. Trump, like every one of us, including all of us at Souls and Liberty, is a sinner. But like all of us, he is in the fight and fighting for all of us to get one more chance, maybe a last chance to save the republic. We must hang together, or as Benjamin Franklin said, we shall hang separately. And maybe far sooner than many imagine, because communists take over and always persecute Christians and Catholics in particular. Let us help you fight these forces of evil. Become a monthly supporter today so we can continue giving you the information, the tools of our faith, and the support network you need to go out and save souls and save our nation. Join our merry band of happy warriors and click below to get into the fight. We need you, we need each other. Join the resistance. Become a monthly donor today.
Kamala Harris has a long anti-Christian record, one that is especially anti-Catholic. Arthur, her record reflects a hatred of God, a hatred for his followers, and it runs very, very deep. It seems to be deeper than mere political ideology. It really, ultimately, I think it seems to spring from what can only be described as a satanic spiritual root. What do you say?
I think that's accurate. I mean, this is very common among the radical left. If you speak to the average university student or high school student that feels that way, that leans in that direction, all the way up to the politicians, this is something that you're going to find it's a common thing among them, is this hatred for Christianity and for Christ. It's something along the lines of they see that as reminiscent of the Old West, which they hate, which communists hate, and that was the whole point of their movement, was to overthrow that and create something new. And I think this is the sort of thing that they want to be unburdened by in order to create their new utopia. There's so many layers of analysis for this. There's so much depth to it. I mean, going back as far as Christ telling us that the world will hate us if we love him because they hated him first, right? This is a deep root going back to Satan himself, like you said. And what is really interesting is just how brazen they are today. Like I said earlier, in the past, a politician would have at least known better than to alienate a huge portion of their voter base. But then at the same time, her entire platform is really kind of linchpinned on abortion. And I don't know where you go from there. This is why the Al Smith dinner was a problem for her campaign. It just, she's kind of backed herself into a wall, and hopefully Christians across the United States notice.
Right, absolutely. Yeah, it's fascinating to see, the gloves are off and the masks, I think, more and more are coming down. Back 30 years ago when Bill Clinton was president, early in his presidency, he came out and said, he believed that abortion should be safe, legal, and rare. And they don't say rare anymore. They're just safe and legal, and they want as many abortions as they can get. I think the same thing is true just in the political discourse. Really, you just see more and more brazen examples of communist Democrats showing really who they truly are. I think this latest incident with Kamala is just further confirmation of that. It's fascinating. It's as the conflict, as the war of worldviews really escalates, basically down to Christianity versus communism, this kind of thing is growing in intensity. But I, for one, am very glad to see, becoming more and more black and white, much less gray. We kind of see where now we can really see where people stand, I think, much more than we did before. So good news there. All right, when we come back, what does Kamala's record foreshadow for Christians if she's elected? Stay with us.
Go to mypillow.com or call the number on the screen. Use your promo code to take advantage of wholesale pricing for the first time ever on TV, including my standard size MyPillow, only $14.88. They've never been offered this low before. We have limited quantities at this price, so limit's going to be 10, and once they're gone, they're gone.
No matter who wins in November, we have to embrace that we are living in a post-Christendom culture. And the heart of that is a rejection of the gospel. As one item on our agenda to combat this, Souls and Liberty is hosting our first annual retreat at sea. You might be familiar with the annual event we produced for over 10 years at Church Militant. Dr. Jules Gomez, our Rome correspondent, and I are going to be doing the presenting, and the theme is Christians in Exile Triumphing in Adversity, which provides a whole range of discussions to think about. Now, we sail out of Galveston, Texas to the Western Caribbean November 10th to the 17th, yes, right after the election. I think all of us are probably going to need it one way or the other. Please join us for serious discussion, spiritual preparation, and bonding, very important, bonding with fellow Catholics. Registration information is provided below and on our site at soulsandliberty.com/retreat-at-sea 2024. So sign up and we hope to see you there.
Election day is just 2 weeks from today, 2 weeks. And if Americans elect Harris, if they send her to the White House, it's going to be very bad news for U.S. Christians and Catholics in particular. And just a brief review of her anti-Catholic, anti-Christian record confirms this. For example, as Attorney General of the state of California, she prosecuted undercover Catholic journalist David DeLayden for his work exposing Planned Parenthood's trafficking in aborted babies' body parts, a case, by the way, that is still ongoing. As senator from the state of California, she is on record as essentially saying that Catholics and other Christians who maintain pro-life views should be barred from public office because of those views. As a member of the Biden-Harris administration, a key member, she helped basically fly the flag, the LGBT flag, outside the U.S. Embassy in Rome for the past 4 years during Pride Month, June. This happened just steps away from the Vatican. Essentially, to me, it was the ultimate middle finger to God. And of course, earlier this year, she and Joe proclaimed Easter Sunday, the holiest day of the Christian calendar, to be a transgender day of visibility. And then shortly thereafter, they denied a group of Catholics the ability to hold a public mass at Arlington National Cemetery. So, Arthur, all of this hints at, it gives a brief, though perhaps vague, glimpse at what may be in store for Christians in the United States if Harris takes the White House in November. Give us your thoughts on what's at stake here if Kamala wins.
Well, just to really quickly point to everything you mentioned there, how like their father they are. Everything is about provoking. Everything is about destroying what has been, literally being unburdened by what has been, right? Christianity is the cornerstone of Western civilization. And yeah, Western civilization has made so countless mistakes. Don't get me wrong, because human beings will always make mistakes. But the ideals, the cornerstone, the foundation has always been what kind of checked that power, that kind of kept us in place, and was the measure against which we judged ourselves. For good reason. It's the reason why slavery ended. It's the reason why so many good things have come about. And I think that really at its core, that's what they want to destroy. I mean, the last 70 years is evidence of just systemic attacks on Christianity in the public sphere, trying to get it completely removed, trying to get Christians to feel isolated and alone and like they're idiots for believing what they believe, and the rest of the world has moved on into this enlightened state, when in reality, that's just not the case, as we've seen in the last 10, when most of this stuff has come apart. And obviously, look, her record speaks for itself. And I think that the future would just be a continuation of the same. I don't know if she's the one who pushed us through or who pushes all these things, if she genuinely believes this, or if, again, she's just kind of an empty vessel that is being used, or maybe a mix of both. But regardless, I mean, if you think packing the courts to change not just laws across the nation and kind of enforce particular beliefs on the entire population against their will, that also affects constitutional amendments. That also affects all sorts of things, right? There's a wicked agenda that's been carried out so far, and that's only 3.5 years. I mean, it was before Trump as well, but definitely over the last 3.5 years, it's been obvious. And there's no reason to believe that's not going to not just be continued, but ramped up. Because if she wins this time around, I don't see any strong Republican contender who would stand against her or any successor in 2028. And knowing political parties, the likelihood of the Republicans becoming more staunchly pro-Christian or more staunchly pro-American is not high. The reality is they're probably going to try to water down more and more and more to appeal to what they think is the common voter, which would be the left, which has been what's going on, or what has been going on in the Western world for many years now. So definitely wouldn't be good.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, we really, the Christian order of America has been completely overthrown, especially in the last, I'd say, 15 years or so. It started really to massively unravel in the 1960s, but the pace, even though, it's incredible that you can overthrow an entire civilization essentially in just a couple of generations, it's been comparatively slow, a slow burn up until, I'd say a decade and a half ago when Obama took office. Personally, when I personally marked that, and it just seems to be skyrocketing in pace now. And I think that, as you mentioned the courts, I think there are so many, so many American institutions, so many just facets in American life that really are on the cusp of either completely collapsing or beginning anew. Essentially, it really is a make or break moment for this country, and because of America's position in the world, a make or break moment for the world, I would say. So, all right, Arthur, thank you very much. Excellent insights and discussion as always. Appreciate you joining us. And to our viewers, thank you as well for joining us here for In Depth. God bless you.